Hi everyone, I'm Argolfumf. Today I'm talking about episode 11 of the Babysitters Club Netflix show. It's called Kristy and the Snobs, and it's based on book 11 of the series, also called Kristy and the Snobs. So this is the first episode of season 2. Sadly, season 2 is 8 episodes. Season 1 was 10 episodes, so we have fewer episodes this season, and it's the last season of the series. They did not make a season 3. So that's sad. It's also kind of sad. I mean, it makes sense. They're starting episode 11 with book 11, but that means we skipped over 2 pretty good books. Logan likes Marianne. Yeah, they had Logan stuff in the first season, but he's just so dreamy. And as an introvert, I do like stories of seeing introverts succeed and getting basically like dream dates. Like, gosh, wish that happened to me in middle school or high school. College even. Yeah. Also book number 9, The Ghost at Dawn's House. That is a really good book. I like it. They didn't make a TV show out of it, and they didn't make a graphic novel out of it. So maybe it's not a good book. Maybe people don't like it. I don't know. Scholastic, if you want me to make a graphic novel out of this book, I will totally do that. I 100%. Yes. All my yes. I would love to see that graphic novel. It's definitely much better than the next Dawn book, Little Miss Stonybrook and Dawn. Ugh. Yeah, I'm sure the TV show is not going to do that as an episode. Also, probably not going to do book 13, Goodbye, Stacy, Goodbye. They're probably not going to do it, right? If you've only got 8 episodes, let's not kick Stacy off the series for most of those episodes. Anyway, back to Kristy and the Snobs. Let me talk about the book in broad strokes. So the basic story is that Kristy has moved into her new neighborhood where everybody's a millionaire, and she doesn't really like it. She didn't really like the idea of moving in the first place, and all the people here are just rich snobs. She doesn't really like them, especially Shannon Kilborn. So she and Shannon start a rivalry. They do a prank war against each other. The neighborhood has a bunch of kids who are mean, like Max and Amanda Delaney. They're really mean, and they misbehave, so the Babysitters Club has a hard time trying to get them to behave until Stacy comes up with a clever way to make them behave. I think she uses reverse psychology, or a Babysitters Club. No. Like Mary Poppins, she just goes overboard whenever she deals with them, and that kind of weirds them out, and they decide to behave after that. So the other major storyline is just her dog, Louie. Her dog, Louie, gets sick. He goes blind, and then he dies. And it's really sad, and they have a funeral for him where they play the song, Louie, Louie. Nobody knows the lyrics to Louie, Louie. And that's sort of what causes the feud between Kristy and Shannon to end. Shannon ends up becoming a friend. She gives Kristy a puppy dog. They name the dog Shannon. And Shannon ends up joining the Babysitters Club, which is interesting. Yeah, she's a good character, so she's like the best part of like 3 different Babysitters Club books. She doesn't show up often. She shows up in the recap chapter a lot, but she rarely appears in the Babysitters Club books, which is a shame because she was really good in several of the books where she appeared. She only got to narrate 1 book. I wish she got to narrate more. So I don't know if she counts as a fan favorite character, but she is an interesting character. She's good. So with all that said, this episode is not very faithful to the book. We see that at the very start where Kristy comes home. She's like, okay, summer is over. I've come home for the summer, and now the Babysitters Club can restart. That part really shocked me. I'm like, what? The Babysitters Club is canceled for the summer? That's when parents need babysitters most. Gosh. And there are books, like I think it's the Babysitters Club Super Special where they go to Hawaii, where they kind of struggle with having the club open during the summer because they have to keep it open during the summer. That's like the premise of that book. Anyway, so I was shocked to see the Babysitters Club was closed for the summer. That does not seem like a decision Kristy would make. Kristy would rather like stay home all summer and watch all the kids herself. That would actually be a pretty good episode, like Kristy has 12 babysitting jobs at the exact same time. which is the storyline in the Babysitters Club Go to Hawaii book. Anyway, the other thing she says is that my dog died when I was away at camp. What? Her dog is dead? So they do the dead dog storyline, but we never got to see the dog. Maybe the dog appeared in previous episodes. I don't know. But like the dead dog storyline has much less of an effect if we never actually see the dog before the dog dies. It's weird to just kill the dog off like at the start before the episode even starts. That's weird. I did not like that change. And so the burden kind of shifts to, well, she doesn't really feel like she fits in with this neighborhood because Karen's a snob. Karen's a bigger snob than anybody else because they got rid of most of the kids. They pretty much got rid of all the kids in the new neighborhood. So Karen's kind of mean. And then the other kid is Amanda, and she's not snobby. She's not snobby. She's more like she's a teenager who doesn't want to talk to anyone. And Kristy's only like a year older than her. So it's like, I don't need Kristy as a babysitter. She's only 1 year older than me. Gosh, she's even older than Mallory, is what they say. And, you know, that also could have been a good story. That was the storyline of book number, this one? 98, where the 10-year-olds are complaining, why do we need to be, babysat by 11-year-olds? That makes no sense. Mallory's only what? 4 months older than me? What makes her so mature and responsible? Well, it's because she's in middle school. That's why. But yeah, they could have gone with that story. Instead, Amanda's just kind of sullen and doesn't want to talk, which is totally understandable because Kristy herself is sullen and doesn't want to talk, especially in the scenes with Watson, where Watson's trying his hardest to be the best stepdad in the world, and he's just talking, and it felt like Kristy was just told, hey, don't say anything in this scene. Watson, just keep talking. And so kind of a long scene of him trying to talk to Kristy, and the whole time she's like, it's not happening. Okay. So Amanda's not really a snob. She's just like I said, she's older than Mallory, which is weird. It felt like part of this episode was trying to reintroduce viewers to the characters, because that's what the Babysitters Club meetings seem to be about. Like, they're reintroducing the fact that Mallory is a huge nerd who says awkward things, and then Jesse likes ballet a lot. And then Stacy and Claudia are both boy crazy, and they're helping Marianne with Logan. That's the idea. Logan hasn't talked to Marianne since she got back from camp, which was 3 weeks ago. And that means the Babysitters Club was shut off for 3 weeks. They got home from camp and they just didn't do any club stuff for 3 weeks. Okay, I understand taking the summer off. No, I don't. I'm sorry. I should stop complaining, but I still don't understand, like, August babysitting. Come on, you guys could do a lot of August babysitting. Okay. I forgot. The other thing that Kristy thinks makes her not feel welcome in her neighborhood is the fact that her brothers have totally adapted to the millionaire lifestyle, and apparently they're throwing wild, crazy pool parties with a bunch of bikini babes every weekend. Sam and Charlie, my goodness, that does not seem like something they would do. Although Charlie is like a football star, I guess. So maybe that is a thing he would do. Anyway, Sam and Charlie don't talk in this episode. So that storyline kind of goes nowhere. It felt like it was weird. Sam did invite Stacy over to one of his pool parties, and I guess we're going with the Sam-Stacy romance now, which is fine. That does happen in the books. That happens like 4 or 5 years later in the books, and never becomes like a full-fledged thing. I think it's just in the super specials, but it's fine. Stacy and Sam can be a couple here. So Stacy and Claudia are big on trying to kickstart Marianne's relationship with Logan, and Dawn is all in on it as well. And we just get weird stuff. It's so weird. They're like, okay, well, and Kristy is just being an angry old person. It's like, why don't you just call him? You don't need to use your cell phone to text him or email him or use those newfangled website thingies. Logan's in another state, right? I think that's why he's not there, is because they said, hey, he's in Kentucky right now. He's visiting his grandma. That's why he's not hanging out with Marianne. But Kristy's constantly like, just call him. But no. So they decide to do some sort of weird card matching thing, like tarot cards with Dawn, and it's very weird. And then she calls Logan pretending to be a census worker so she can get his date, his birthday and birth time. His January 10th, which is my birthday. 2007, not my birthday. Okay. So let's see, this came out in 2021. So if that's 2007, I can do that math. That would make him 14. So older than he is in the book series for sure. Yeah. Marianne's dating an older man. I don't know how to feel about that. Yeah. This is a problem people say, well, it happens not just with Netflix, but with a bunch of other things. Like in High School Musical, like all the actors are in their 20s. So they were not high school age when doing high school movies. And you see that in Netflix too, where it's like, oh, here's teenagers in real life. But here are teenagers on Netflix. Ooh, big and strong, like 2 feet taller than me, giant beards and stuff like that. Huge muscles. Oh my gosh. So I feel like that was sort of a problem with the first season where, this is a show about babysitting. There has to be a lot of babysitting stuff, but it's hard for them to get child actors. And so they tried to minimize the babysitting. And so that's why with the Snob storyline, it's one kid. There's only one kid. And they actually combined that with the Shannon storyline too. So, yeah. So the Logan storyline, he shows up at the very end and indicates he still likes Marianne. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yay! So Amanda might not have been much of a snob. She was more of a disinterested teenager. But her mother, great casting on being a snob, doing a good job of being like one of those mean Real Housewives people. And she's so mean to Kristy's mom. And but then she has to hire Kristy as a babysitter for Amanda. And Kristy takes Amanda over to her house, where Amanda meets David Michael, and David Michael's being mopey about the dead dog. And Amanda's like, oh, I like dogs too. And so then we get the ending where Mrs. Delaney is having a charity function, and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your dog. I'm not a mean snob anymore. I'm actually a nice person now. Guess what? I'm Shannon. Dun, dun, dun. Huge plot twist, right? So Shannon is actually Amanda Delaney's mom. And I guess that works. I like Shannon. I like book Shannon. She's a character I liked a lot. And so, like, changing her to just mean snob mom, I did not like that. I appreciate that they keep the name Shannon, and they do keep the ending where Shannon gives them a puppy to replace their dead dog, and they decide to name the puppy after Shannon. And that's good. That's way better than that Nancy Drew TV show where, like, half the characters' names were changed, and it had nothing to do with the original source material at all. Whereas at least this one's kind of trying to be close to the source material, but I still feel like, gosh, I wish we had actual Shannon. And, like, we don't need to have, did we have to have the Delaney kids storyline? We could have just had, I think I would have preferred it if we had snobby Shannon storyline and a prank war with Kristy, and then we just didn't have the storyline with the Delaney kids. I didn't really like that subplot with Marianne, though. So after doing the weird tarot card reading, they set up like Instagram account and try to take sexy pictures of Marianne, which is super awkward. And then somebody inappropriate sends messages to them. Somebody who's a big fan of pigs for whatever reason. That was a weird joke. It felt like that was a reference I was completely missing. Anyway, so probably a good episode for reestablishing who the characters are in the minds of viewers who might not have seen previous episodes, or, it's been a while since they saw the previous episodes. But, I wish they'd gone more with the original book. I understand, okay, fine, we don't want to have stuff with kids. Are the dog, because that's one of the rules of Hollywood. It's like, oh no, don't work with children or dogs. They're difficult to work with. At the same time, Netflix has had Fuller House, and that had child actors, and I seem to think that show was perfectly fine. So, do you have thoughts on Kristy and the Snobs? What do you think of this episode? Leave a comment below letting me know, and I'll see you next time when I review episode number 12, which I believe is Claudia and the New Girl, which is a book all about somebody named Ashley Wyeth, but the picture of the episode shows Claudia playing with babies, which I don't think that's in the book at all. Huh.